All right. So now that we've seen more waves occur, I believe that this is a form of confirmation that the bear market will continue. So I've gone through each wave. Actually, the wave that I went through the most was the first wave, because this one sort of gave me the clue. If I spent some time on that, I thought I'd be able to work out the rest of them, which was a good idea because these patterns aren't very clear. The B as a zigzag is very strange, and I think it's because of the large wick that happened for the end of A coming back down so sharply. I believe that you had an A and the start of a B in here, which ended and then basically ended the B wave. But the way that I could sort of confirm that it is a B wave completed is because the C wave made a new high, and then we had a D wave, which, look, by no stretch does it look like a normal D wave, but it doesn't look like a 5 wave move either. And there's only two patterns the market creates. So therefore, to me, this is a D wave, which has a confirmation because it broke above, not on this chart, but on the Binance chart, it did make a new high. And like I was saying in the first place, it's a failed head and shoulders inverse head and shoulders pattern, and which failed miserably, but it kept failing miserably. And now finally, I believe that it's confirmed a reversal. And the reason for that is because once you break the start of wave E, then that's a confirmation that we basically finish wave two. Okay, so quite a shallow correction, but it did retrace back to the previous fourth wave just above it. Um, so, look, in that particular case, I have no choice but to say, look, it looks like it might continue lower from here. So this is why I advise to dollar cost average. Um, in the XRP chart, it's interesting because it did follow my last update that I put out, saying that we are looking for a B wave within, a larger zigzag B wave. So that one's interesting. That one also kind of points towards a bit more bearishness because it hasn't completed its large move down. But when I hear people say that XRP and XLM move the same, I don't believe that. I think that very at small degree perhaps, but then so does the entire crypto market at small degree, right? But at larger degree, it's not exactly the same pattern, right? I mean, it is producing a one and two. That's fine long term, but it really they're different waves. So at this point in time, I mean that's a pretty sharp confirmation, and the bounce back suggests that yes, it is correcting for a move lower. And the reason for that is because let's go to the 5 minute chart or even the 1 minute chart, right? When you get a pullback like the way that it bounced, right, it did produce a large move, but then it bounced in three waves, right? So this there, it doesn't give me the feeling that it's going to go higher because it would have just continued higher, right? I think what's happening here is that we created an A and now we're going to create a B. So the first wick down, unless it's another crazy B wave, to me, more than likely, it looks like it's going to produce at some point if we could look here, we have a potentially B unfolding still. I'll keep an eye on this because I don't think it's ready to do anything just yet, unless A, B, C, D, unless it's in E wave now, and then we see another wick down like this potentially, and that'd be B wave, and then we need C, obviously D and E before the move continues lower, but obviously can't go above the highs of the beginning of the move down. But yeah, I do think that potentially wave uh, so wave one and two, so two one twos potentially. Um, so basically third of a third wave incoming to the downside. So this would have been one A B, C, D, and then E would have been that last wick up. So basically can't go above the wick up, which obviously never went above the top because this would have kind of changed the view a little, but it never did that. And then it just produced a wave one. So it's, to me, it's in wave three. So the next move down will be a third of a third wave, which is interesting for the analysis, especially Bitcoin. That one I've been sort of keeping my eye on, a bit iffy on a couple of fronts. But I'm going to produce more ideas about that soon. Just trying to put a few scenarios together because these waves can be a bit hard to dissect. Now, I did always say this was choppy mess, and moves don't typically, wave threes up don't typically start like that. So obviously I got the count wrong, but at the same time, any bullishness that was expected was obviously unfounded. There was no real reason to be bullish, in my opinion. I thought that this was still ongoing. On a more positive note, if we look at the XLM BTC pair, I was doing some work on that, and I believe that has bottomed now. Right, so I'll quickly just go through that whilst we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was the first move up, week 5 wave move, right? But then we had a large A wave, right? And this is an interesting A wave. I'll just go through it a little bit. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave A, so week 5 wave move, right? We had a sharp A bounce, a B, a B, C, D, E, right? That's why I've got the lines marked this way, and then the C wave down, right? So that's okay. That fits, but what makes this even a bit more clearer, I suppose, if you go to the 4 hour, right? That move up that happened, when that XRP news or whatever came out, that is a B wave, in my opinion. And I believe we had a CD bounce. So basically, this be a CDE pattern, but the C bounce was merely a reaction to the large wick, which was ended up pretty small. The bounce up was an expanded zigzag, in my opinion. Right, I went to the smaller degree and I could see the subdivisions, but then I started to count down here: 1, A, B, C, D, E, 2, right, 3 waves down with a very small wave 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 up until some point around here, and then basically the internal 4 for the 3, and then wave 3 complete, A, B, C, D, E. Then you get the same length as wave 1, and basically this is what I was looking for. And when that move happened recently, I found it quite interesting because it was almost the length of wave 1. Now, I'm not saying 100% this is bottom, but it looks like it. We need confirmation, a break above this last high here, right, to confirm that that's the case. But if that's the case, then I believe that this correction has completed, and I do believe that this would now be a wave basically 2 completed, right? And that wave 3 up will be basically XLM outperforming Bitcoin from here on out. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a wave 3 because once again, corrections happen also in zigzags. So we could see potentially like a zigzag pattern, right? Which means that we'd only go so far, right? Because I got to cover all bases here. But at the same time, look, that's a pretty good outperformance. Even if it was to be a zigzag, it's still going to be 7,000% outperformance, right? So even if it is the zigzag, not the 3, right? That's still pretty good, right? I don't know exactly like that. because XLM is still kind of in a downtrend for now. I wonder what that really means at this point. But once again, we just need to wait and see. It's too early to be even thinking it's a zigzag yet because we're still in a bear market technically. So I suppose how long that goes for will determine, what kind of base is prepared here, what kind of structure will come out of this to begin with. In terms of a turnaround, uh, it means potentially that we could see like even an inverse type head and shoulders pattern appear before any of that happens, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't need to go straight up in a straight line. I mean, it can, it absolutely can, but I don't want to be one to say, oh, from here on out, XLM to the moon. Uh, but yeah, that's how I'm seeing this at the moment. It's positive news though. I believe it's positive. So yeah, hopefully that's been a good update for you. Catch you on the next one.